Welcome to our Ally podcast. As you know, Ally helps product and engineering teams build better products with clarity, confidence, and a lot less chaos. And today we are welcoming two people who have fundamentally reshaped how product discovery works inside large and complex organizations. And so I welcome Sabrina Hauptmann, my business partner at Ally, and Wolf Bruning. They created the Discovery School at OTTO. They've run over 50 workshops and have trained more than 600 product professionals. And for the first time, we are lucky to have them bringing their approach outside of OTTO, and they will be running product discovery and design thinking, build better products with confidence as part of Ally's offering. And this training is going to blend design thinking. It's going to offer practical tools. We will talk about real world case studies and a lot of live collaboration. So it's not a talk at you theory lecture. It is actually a guided discovery cycle that you will experience end to end if you are lucky to join us. So I'm really excited for this conversation. Welcome. And Wolf, I want to start with you and ask you, how did the Discovery School start at OTTO, and when did you first realize that this was a good thing to create?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me here. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Sabrina. It's nice to talk to you about one of my favorite topics. And yeah, to get back to your question, I think this started already like 14 years ago. It was also the time I started at OTTO. Where there was a strategic decision made that if we want to be a real player in the e-commerce world, we have to be responsible for technology. So OTTO ventured out, created a new product organization to really build all the software that is needed, all the product that is needed to sell our stuff. And that was a very, very successful and great venture. And but what we did most of the time, most of the almost 2 years we worked on that, was rebuilding OTTO. So we created the organization around rebuilding something we already knew. There was some discovery work as well, but mostly we looked at what we had and simply transformed that, maybe cut it a bit down to MVP state. But most of the time we built what he already knew. And so after we successfully launched this new OTTO DE, we were in a situation where we had an organization that was very, very good in executing things, but not really firm into how to discover new stuff. And especially us from the UX design and UX research, we were sensing that there was something missing. And the first thing was that we took the initiative to bring more customer-centric development methods, more research-based things into the teams, to be the champions for product discoveries at first, and that helped us to transform the teams a bit. But what we learned was there was very different approaches to discoveries, very different depth the teams were going, very, very different quality we had in the different teams we had. And also there was a situation while we rebuilt OTTO DE in a very closed shop style. now all the stakeholders from the other departments were allowed back into our product discoveries, as they were not really called that way then, but they were also flooding in, and we had all the problems. Even in good discoveries, the stakeholder were always around in some meetings and the others not, and they didn't really understood how we build digital products now. And that was the time when my former boss, Caro, said, okay, we need to do more. And she took Sabrina and me and another colleague, and we were tasked with thinking about a training program to help our teams to get better at product discoveries and to help our stakeholders to work more efficiently with our teams together. And yeah, that was the starting point. And then our colleague Kati and Sabrina and me, we just sat together, and we had a lot of help also. And then we created the first version of the Discovery School. And yeah, it was not only a success, it was also something we are doing up until now. And that's like more than, I don't know, 8 9 years, maybe 10. I don't know. It's a lot of work. And we have hundreds of participants at OTTO here, and we did maybe 50 workshops, and it's ongoing. So yeah, it transformed a lot since the first version. But yeah, as we learned ourselves what's working, what's not working, as we changed, as the organization changed. But in the basic, it's what's in the heart, in the core. It's still the spirit of the first time, and it's a really great workshop, and we're getting awesome feedback because people really love the mixture of theory and practice, and the energetic mood we have there, and the very positive mood we are doing there. So, and yeah, it's really, I'm really happy that this we can bring this to people outside, because people are telling you us always, hey, other people need to hear that.
For sure. And Sabrina, like, do you remember like what the first iterations of the school trainings were like, and maybe compare it to how it's evolved over the years? Like, what did you learn yourself about, running discoveries?
Wow, that is a great question, and thank you, Wolf, so much. It's like a little throwback. Oh, I think the main when you said you did it and it was, and I thought it was so much fun. This is how I wanted to end the sentence, and I think that's like something like in general when I'm thinking about discoveries. I think I'm thinking about this. It's like it's something playful and joyful and exciting, and well. Side note, um, actually, my very first discovery I ever co-facilitated was with Björn Linda at Xing. So when I just started at Xing, I was very blessed that um, I entered the organization in a moment where innovation was huge. I remember Björn just discovering discoveries. So he bought the first books. So I had the honor, basically, I was so lucky to study side by side Björn, what he learned about discovery, and then the rollout with Xing. And then I remember this discovery in Castelldefels, I think it was, with Umel, the little
Mhm.
pool break. It was like a very exhausting 2 day discovery, I think. And but it made it like it changed the energy, as also as Wolf said, like the energy also not only in trainings but also on site, if you when you're really doing with teams, is very high if you facilitate it in a way that is really aligned with like human nature, no, which is what design thinking and discoveries basically do. But it wasn't the question, was it?
Well, no, but it's a good answer anyway.
I'm like,
Um,
segue. I'm like, wow, such a
yeah. So, I mean, I'm riffing on what Wolf said, right? So you kind of were given this task to extend the training at OTTO about discovery and kind of come up with some repeatable process, I guess, that you could train all the product teams on. So there was more consistency. I think I heard you say, Wolf, in terms of understanding an approach and like what is discovery for. And so, the question, Sabrina, was how did the training actually evolve based on your experience delivering it to the teams? Like what were the how is the first iteration compared to how it's run now? Like how much has it changed?
Well, I've seen the materials. I haven't participated in the latest auto internal trainings. And when we started it, it was a question, and I really love what you said, of, and then I remember we're so good at delivering and not good at discovering, and the stakeholders did not understand how the product organization worked. And I think when we designed it, it was also having in mind that everyone does discovery. How do we create a shared language around discovery, analysis, exploration of the market, whatever other departments were doing, and bring it together? And I remember from our first iterations, from I don't know how many years we did it together, maybe 2 years. That well, it's more not you run the first session, then you see what resonates with people and what questions came up. And I remember having long debriefs, but what were people curious about? Where were the biggest questions? What did they jump on? And then Wolf developed at some point the triple diamond to really visualize, hey, we're doing discovery. All of us are doing discovery. But that's now the moment where we want to bring it together. So I remember the training evolving in that sense to really bring in the stakeholders' perspective, their reality, and moving them from the stakeholder, the people out there who are trying to kind of run into our shop and tell us what to do, into we are one product organization and we need all those different perspectives and roles and the knowledge that they have to create really the best product and to innovate.
Cool.
I
And
think sorry. I think one very specific thing how the Discovery School program evolved. One very good example, because it evolved a lot over the time. But I think one really major change was, so to explain, in the Discovery School, we try to do one full product discovery cycle on one day. So participants learn what it's all about. And in the first years, we sort of skipped the user testing because we thought it's simply too much in the very small time frame we have for that to really do a real user test. And so we skipped over that by simply showing videos from user tests. And then later on, we simply had the idea, okay, now maybe let's try it. And then we found a very streamlined way of simulating user interviews, and it was so good. There was so many aha moments in there, that it's like it was mind-boggling. Why didn't we do it earlier? Yeah, it's now one of the most important parts where people really learn how important it is to show your product to other people, to watch them understand and use them. And it's really one of the best additions we ever did.
wonderful. Um, I'm really curious to hear about what was the reaction of the stakeholders from outside of the product organization. Like, what were some of their common misunderstandings about discovery? Did they even know what it was, and or did they have like wrong assumptions that also created aha moments for them?
I think it helped them. They had a lot of struggles in this corporate change, because one thing they struggled most was to find their new role in the product development. In the times before having a product organizations, they just formulated a project, and then they got listened to, and then they gave it to the tech department, and it was built. And so now they were struggling because they were involved, but they weren't the only person who had a say in how the product should be. There were other people like product managers, UX designers, even developers discussing how a product should be to solve, or even asking them, hey, what is the problem? You're coming with a solution, but we want to understand why. Why that solution? What should it solve? And a lot of people were really struggling with that. And I think we weren't in the position to solve this alone, because it was, I think, a very, very intense corporate change you had to do there. But I think it was really helpful to understand why it's important to know the problem. What happens when the team works on it? What happens when the team works on it when I'm probably not around for the meeting? And I think it was very important. It took time. It wasn't not people weren't going out of the discovery school and say, now I know everything and I trust you. And but yeah, building trust needs time, and I think we helped here. We gave them the trust in the process. We gave them the trust that what they are saying will be used and reflected by the teams. And yeah, hopefully most learned that collaborating with a team is way better to throwing things over the fence and praying that something is built that you thought was needed. Yeah, but I think we did our part to move the organization forward, even in this aspect.
I love that. And Sabrina, do you remember like a specific project or initiative where the discovery fundamentally changed in terms of like a successful implementation? Does it make sense what I'm asking? Like, if you hadn't, for instance, if you hadn't done a discovery, would this project have been completely different than it actually turned out?
The first project that comes up is the proof of concept for responsive web design. I worked in the innovation with the innovation products, which were back then also the apps. You know, no one believed in apps. They're like, oh, who needs apps?
You're dating yourself.
And so we did. And OTTO brought in external consultants, Wiebke and Intuyo back then, together with some people from the apps team and UX colleagues internally. This work group was formed. This project group was formed, and if I could remember correctly, I think it was a 6 weeks discovery.
Wow.
To see, no, more, could it be?
I think we had more time.
6 months?
No, but 3 months or something like that.
Months? Yeah. I'm not really good with numbers, but so if the company would say, okay, we do responsive web design now for everyone, this would have been years and years and years. All the teams involved from the beginning, and they said, instead of, hey, let's reduce the risk, let's see what it takes, and let's test it. Let's do the proof of concept, and then take decisions, informed decisions, understanding our risks very well, and doing it in a cross-functional, cross-perspective way. So having developers, UX designers, product managers sitting together side by side, and not only so the designer would create a wireframe, the developer would develop it, but then also the UX colleague would learn to to do prototype hacks with the coding. And I remember this project particularly because it was a big shift in velocity and the speed of delivering insights and learnings. And we threw it all out. And it was not to keep. And this is something that I saw, like in general, it takes a lot of conversations to explain, well, what we did here in this discovery, we will not use it. It's not production ready code. This has been to learn. And in this discovery, we actually managed it, and then also could this take an informed decision on this huge investment to do the responsive web design rollout.
Cool.
Yes, I think that was one of our best discoveries we ever did. We did a lot of good discoveries, but this was really great because that was such a huge and fuzzy problem, and then we did this first iteration, bringing in experts from outside, learning a lot, and then really did the first iteration just to understand the problem better.
Mm-hmm.
And just to uncover the questions we have to solve until we start really running with the whole organization, transforming us to multi-device capabilities. And I think doing this really with the mindset of, okay, whatever we build, it's get thrown away. It's not production code. We are just building to learn. And in the end, after I think 3 months, maybe we learned so much about how to approach that in the teams, how to structure discoveries for creating multiple device capabilities, and also so many questions uncovered we didn't know beforehand that these were questions, like how content should be structured, how images should be provided, what technologies we need, who needs to talk to whom, how should we test multi-device. We didn't knew that before, and maybe we didn't even knew how to ask this question, and that was so helpful for everything that came after that. It was really I think and also I loved the people. I loved working with Sabrina, and also the three Thomases from Vienna from Intuyo were cool.
There was 3 Thomas.
Yes,
But it was Inke, Wiebke, who else? It was Leonard. I remember.
And we had a lot of fun, and I think that was a very good example on how discovery should be done. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think another big learning in general with this discovery school and the first discovery was also for the developers, that the stakeholders know their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this little assumption of, no, oh no, I'm the tech guru, I know everything. And it took also, I think, like the stakeholders really needed to understand and overcome their fears of not being listened to, and how do I find my place. But also the developers, especially, like, they needed to really understand the skills that people bring in. Like I remember this big aha moment, what kind of data marketing had on the user. I'm like, wow. Or they do this crazy market research, like MAFO, or what is it called in German? I don't remember. And I remember I had many aha moments of what knowledge other departments have of user behavior, of user needs, of user problems. And this was something also, I think, like doing the discoveries with the teams, working with the stakeholders, understanding how do we manage dependencies, who are we dependent on, how then do we bring it from the discovery into the delivery, bring it into this like a structured portfolio process, into programs, how to manage the connections and dependencies. Like, it helped us to see the entire flow of product development, and that's what I really loved when we started just calling it like the digital product development. Like whoever has to come, people need to join who are part of the digital product development, and this really shaped also my thinking. Not we build software, no, we're building digital products, and who do we need?
Cool. I want to hone in on some of the things that you're going to offer in the training, because there's a lot of different methods that you're going to touch on, from guerrilla testing to journey mapping to prototyping. And I'm wondering, like, which method, because I know, Wolf, you said introducing the user testing created a lot of aha moments, but which of those methods also kind of is surprising for people who are doing this for the first time, or they, it's like, a brand new tool for their toolbox that now they want to use it all the time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I still want to emphasize. I think testing and research is one of the most important things you can do, and it's so important to know what you're doing. So I can't underemphasize that. But looking at other parts, I think, and that's we are focusing in the Discovery School on mostly methods that are simple, so everyone can use them, but are powerful. And so, one thing to really understand the user and understand probably your product, how it's going to be, we're doing customer journey mapping, which at first seems a bit underwhelming as a method because it's just a large table user does that, feels that, and then clicks that and feels like that. Uh, but I think it's a powerful technique to really give the team a common understanding of what to build or how the user is behaving, especially. I mean, we're here in a large corporation, and so we have teams that own only a very small slice of the user experience. And most of the time, they really focus on its slice, but that's not the user's experience. The user's experience is the whole user experience. The user doesn't say, okay, now I'm in the checkout, and it's okay that everything is different because that's from another team. Nobody says that as a user. And I think customer journey mapping really helps the team to give a holistic view about the whole user's journey, to watch left and right from their product, what's happening beforehand, what's happening after us, and take that into account.
Mhm.
And I think one thing that's often missing from teams is this common understanding. Sometimes it's only the product manager that knows really what all this stuff is about, or some a part of knowledge is in the product manager, a part of knowledge is in the UX researcher, or whatever. And it's so important, I think, that every team member knows what's it about, what problem should be solved, what goals should be reached, and how we want to do that. Because then every team member can bring her or his complete value in maybe challenging decision, maybe adding ideas. You can't
Mhm.
challenge decisions, you can't add ideas that are of value if you don't know what problem should be solved.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the most important steps, and that's often missed, that the whole team should understand what they're doing. And customer journey mapping, and we're also doing the Auftragsklärungsframework, which is called in German from our Xing colleagues, to help teams learn how to do this to get the common understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah, and another method I really do like, we're doing in the creative phase. We have in between the other more research-oriented phases, where we produce ideas. We use the design studio method, where users scribble their ideas and then they bring them to a wall and then they give feedback. I think that method is also pretty easy.
Mhm.
You don't have to be scared to paint, to scribble, but most we take away that scare. But it's always another big aha moment, because when people are looking what they produced in like 30 minutes, they have a wall full of ideas and with feedback everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's cool to see this. Okay, we just did this in 30 to 40 minutes. It's like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
How you can harness the creative power of people with such a simple method. Because
Yeah.
here again, the method feels underwhelming at first. We draw something and then we get feedback. But the method in all produces this and helps the team to come together and bring all their ideas together, and bring everything closer to a solution. And that's a good moment.
Um, it like what you just described brought up so many memories for me of like also participating in discoveries. And one of the things that I want to go a little deeper on is what are the biggest what's the biggest resistance that you found in terms of people not seeing the value of discovery? Like one of the things that I immediately thought of is, you know, when you were describing how people put their ideas up on the board, a lot of people say, I'm not creative. You know, I don't know how to draw. I'm not a UX person. I'm a developer. Or just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Just give me the requirements and I'll do it. I don't want to be involved in thinking about the problem.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that
Well,
kind of resistance?
at first, yeah, we have lots of people who say I'm not creative, but first I would disagree because I'm a friend of a broad definition of being creative, because somebody who solves a new problem, and even if it's by coding or something, like writing code that has not existed before, is that's creative work. Yeah, and even a lawyer thinking about a strategy how to help his customer. I don't know how you call them. Um, that's creative work.
Mhm.
And so coming from new problems to new solution is creative. And you don't have to be an artsy designer to do that. I think what people mean is people are usually not creative from nothing. Yeah, I mean, us designers are trained to do that, to have the blank sheet of paper and then be creative. But internally, it's also just a process. We know how to start, to get the first dots and connect them. And
Mhm.
I think creative methods like design studio method or simple brainstorming or whatever, if you're doing it right, are simply the scaffolding to help everybody get creative. And so you don't have necessarily to be a creative person. You just need to be part of the process and communicate. And I think that's regarding creativity. If you asked for more obstacles, I think more obstacles are, I would say, is people who perceive themselves as a sole expert in something, who don't want to give away competencies. So the product manager says, I'm the expert that is paid to find the solution. I don't want help from anybody else. And
Wow. I didn't even think of that, but you're right.
yeah, yeah, maybe it's not the perfect example, but there are people who work like that, who think, okay, that's my responsibility and I have to do it alone.
Right.
And I think that is coming from fear. They
Mhm.
are they're fearing that we know a lot of product managers and us UX designers. Everybody's suffering from imposter syndrome, no? But and yeah, maybe they are afraid that if people realize that they get help from other people, they might not be needed in the company anymore. And that's I think we are working in highly complex environments, and nobody is capable of doing anything alone here.
Mhm.
And I think that knowing that everybody brings hers or his unique perspective to the table, and because that is as person of value, that is, I think, the important realization. And because everything we produce is a collaboration of multiple people, and everyone has his or her value in there, I
Mhm.
think then you know you don't have to be an island or a fortress of knowledge. And yeah, I think helping people to understand that they get much farther with collaboration than alone is a good is a challenge, but it's a good way to get there. I think the third thing that often happens is, and that's also connected as seeing ourselves as the experts, is jumping to solutions. Because in often at the start of product discoveries, or at the start you have a problem and yeah, I'm the expert, I jump already, yeah, I know how to build that. And not doing research, not consulting other perspectives and everything, and then just skipping the whole product discovery and simply programming that something that's likely wrong.
Yeah.
And that is something where you have teams where you have to help teams to do this discovery part, because it's important. And then often teams say, no, we were faster. We just program and then we're faster because, yeah, we have the code tomorrow. Yes, but you might be slower with product discovery than just simply jumping to coding, but you are faster at the right solution if you're doing product discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not faster at getting something, but you're faster at getting something right.
Yes. Yeah. Sabrina, I'm really curious to hear, in the teams that you've worked with, has there ever been a situation, or how do they know when they've done enough discovery, or when is there too much discovery? Like, I'm really curious about, like, when you say, okay, we think we have found what we want to do and now we're going to go into implementation. Like, how does that whole cycle work? Or is there a clear gate between we're in discovery and now we're not in discovery?
Yes, in my point of view, there is a clear gate, just as in like how Wolf said that there's a process. So we're so used to say, okay, we do a delivery with agile frameworks,
Mm-hmm.
whatever we do. So that's a very clear process to deliver. And then there's a very clear process to discover, and also how to include the stakeholders, which might be very different from company to company. But if you're doing it right, there's a very clear process, and if the company is doing it right, if during the onboarding someone explains it to you. That's like, we have a process. This is our, the requests come in this way. This is how we get information. This is how it is. And I must say, I'm trying to think of a situation where we couldn't stop discovering, but I don't remember having the luxury of just keep going and keep going and keep going. It was more this time box approach of,
Okay.
this is how much time we have to discover, and then figuring out how many iterations can we fit into this time frame we have, because it's not as 9 to 10 a.m. we do the framing, 10 to 11 the research. No, there's time in between, right? So you need to, if you're thinking of the Google Design Sprint, for instance, one of the open sources for doing discovery, it's very nice mapped out how you can organize it. So I'm thinking more in my reality, which I'm like the discovery facilitator of sessions. I'm not contributing to the content of discoveries. And I think
Mm-hmm.
when people like us, man, we're joining discoveries, people like Wolf have the luxury to actually participate, which shouldn't be a luxury, but it should be the default, that the product experts participate, and us, we are getting great facilitators. So I think it's more in my reality, the convincing, persuading, influencing people to make time for discovery, then showing them the results.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking, when I say people, I mean, not only the management. I think the management is the one that is most open to, because I say, whatever you do, I just want the right stuff. Let's make money. But then the product managers, the dev managers, the engineering managers, they're like, whoa, we have no time. We have all the... So I think it's more the continuous discussion, conversation with the leads of the team and the deciders of what do we do with the team's time to make sure that we get more than one shot
Mm-hmm.
to explore the problem space and to widen the definition of problem. I loved always to say in our trainings, Wolf, I would always say, well, it's discovery. It's not a problem. It's not a German problem. It's not like, oh, we have a problem. Everything is so bad. I'll be like, it's a problem. It's like, wow, amazing. There's an opportunity. There's a challenge. There's a need. There's a desire. So it is really much about teaching everyone to think in, and I know Acteris Torres really moved pretty drastic to opportunities. Now in all the books, you only see opportunities, but I still think problem is it's still problems, design problems. So I think it's more this to keep the conversation going with the product management and in engineering management of, guys, we don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
If it would be your company, if it would be your money, would you bet all you got on this? And then people are like, oh.
Yeah.
Wolf?
I really do like the German problem, or especially, yeah. Let's talk about non-German problems in this case. I think, yeah, it's good. It's a challenge. It's an opportunity. It's a moment to use our skills to help someone,
Mhm.
and I think that's a great thing. And depending on your first question, I totally agree with Sabrina. I think we more have the problem that teams don't get enough space to discover. Very often, they can only, even if they do discover, they can do one cycle and they are not really allowed to iterate because time and other features are on the list, which is a large problem. But yeah, well, we encountered situations where teams sort of discovered and discovered and discovered, and that's also a bit connected to fear, because yeah, you're maybe afraid that you are not really having the perfect solution, but you can't be a perfectionist with discovery, because discovery only brings you so far. I
Mm.
always tell teams the truth is in the final product. You can do lots of research, but still the truth is if you have it out as a product and users using it,
Yeah.
and only then you're seeing what happens if if you were right or not, and that's the ultimate way to learn. And I think to counter that fear, you simply need trust for the teams. I trust you to do your best, and also trust from the teams to get the space to iterate again. Very often we see the effect that teams discover too long because they don't have the space to iterate. So they need to get the perfect situation in the first with the first silver bullet.
Yeah.
And that's quite ironic because the organization says, yeah, we need to do next features, next feature, next feature. Please do only one iteration. Iterations get long. Iterations would be much faster if teams are allowed to do multiple of them.
Love
But
it.
ironically, because management thinks they save time, if
Yeah.
they're not doing iterations, it stretches out discoveries because, yeah, they have to learn in other ways and not in the final product, because they might not have the chance to get back to it in
Yeah.
years.
If I
Yeah.
might add on this just a little, because one use case that I was born and raised in, that's what I like to say, is digital products. And then what I learned over the years doing is I use discovery on everything, especially in our job and in the role of an agile coach or a facilitator. What we are doing, we're solving problems. And what we did at Bonyal, which was very, very cool, was so the team lead Samir, he started doing OKRs. So there were OKRs, and at some point, I threw in why not create personas. There was huge resistance. Like, what do you mean personas about our engineering managers, about our product people? So offensive. I'm like, well, but those are our customers. No, those are our clients, and it would be great to deliver real value to them. And I think for anyone else who's not in product, in digital product delivery, and not as tied to cycles, I'm saying HR, finance, agile coaches, sales, guys, do it. Like these departments, they are under no supervision about their processes, how they get to solving their problems. So what I needed to learn in my role also was to really be obsessed with the problem. For who is it? Do the research, ask people, create the first prototype of a training before bringing it to the Myroverse, for instance. Do it the first time, try it, do a pilot,
Yeah.
and iterate, and also be brave to throw it out. And I think when we also in other departments walk the talk, then we give space to the product development department to also have more time for discoveries and iterations. But if we are scared, like, oh no, I need to do the perfect training now for the leadership, the leadership program, one shot only. Well, and if we are led by this fear, we have to create psychological safety by learning and having fun and exploring together. And I think this is where the stakeholders again get a very special role. And if you're a stakeholder listening to this, you can also take the first step towards changing how you are being involved in developing the products, how you are developing the products and exploring them for your department. And I would always, like, as in first tools, I would ask everyone for their own department, for their own team, create personas. Do it and speak and have user interviews. And ChatGPT helped me a lot now that I'm okay. What would a UX designer, like a UX researcher, really say about this guideline? How can I create a very easy interview without being the expert in it? And it really, really helped me to step up my game. And on, like, there's less risks involved in my role, I guess, like less discussion. So call to action, guys.
I love that. Okay, I'm looking at the clock. We don't have a lot of time, and I really want to talk about the training. So it's going to be two of you. How many participants are we looking for?
Well, we are looking for an energetic group. We can do it from 8 people onwards, I would say. We would love to see more, but I think we want to keep this really focused on the people, and so we're saying a maximum would be like 16 to 18.
Okay.
Because after that we can't really look after individual needs, and we're not wanting to do this as simply a factory of learning factory, but we want to do it personal and really help everybody to get their personal value out of this. And so this is not going to, so we have 2 trainers on maximum of like 16 to 18 people, and
I
I
love
think
it. It's small and intimate, small and intimate. And so if I'm thinking about it, well, like what am I going to walk away from the training with? Like what are some of the things that people will have in their toolbox once they finish?
I think one thing is the view, to have a view on the whole discovery part of the product development, to have the complete view, to have experienced every section of this part and know what's where and why. So to understand the process in general, you get a lot of useful methods, and you are really applying them and not just getting shown them. You're working with your workshop mates really on a real problem we give you, and try to solve that. Um, and also, I always say, yes, methods and processes is one thing. The other thing, the more important thing you need to develop product organizations for, is a mindset. And so, especially because you can do the full process in every context. And so this is one thing we really want to give the people, is the true discovery mindset. So things like fall in love with the problem, not the solution, and all of that. So these are things you can take with you and into every context you're working on, even if you're not working on digital products or anything. I think this will be helpful, and this is our real goal, to really inspire people to work user-centric, to really understand problems, to do research and find solutions that work.
Great. And Sabrina, what are some tips you can give people to convince their managers to fund the training for them?
I would go for this is the skill I'm learning, facilitation, because another skill that people walk away with, if they are facilitators, you will automatically listen and experience it from a point of view like, how can I facilitate this? I think we can't help it as facilitators. It's like something, it's a back in the mind, no? How would I do this? How would I do this? So if I would be a product manager, an engineering manager, I say, look, I'm coming back from this training and I know how to facilitate it. I have the step-by-step guide to facilitate this. I have a network of people I can reach out to, can ask how they doing it, can connect with to learn from. And I would do the math of, this is the next project we have. Let me apply this on this next project, which is important, but it's not. But it's not the top number one most urgent critical issue we're having, and we will apply it on this following project, and we will, reduce the cost of delivery, or like we reduce the risk. I would do the math. I'm not the biggest, I'm not the most logical math person, but what I still do is I do the math. I'm like, okay, how much would we save if we do this in theory?
Yeah.
And then just say, look, if we're spending now this amount of money on the training, well, what is really the worst that can happen? I come back more energized, motivated, cool things. I learn cool things. And if I can't apply it, well, that's the worst thing that can happen, but very, very unlikely. If you're coming out of this training and there's nothing you can apply, you weren't there, I would say.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Wolf and Sabrina, this has been absolutely fantastic.
So
And
much
for
fun.
everyone listening and watching this podcast, if you want to build products with more clarity and confidence, then please check out the training, Product Discovery and Design Thinking. The link will be in the show notes. Thank you for participating. Thank you for listening. Stay curious, stay provocative, and go build something meaningful. And with that, I thank you all.
Gracias.
Bye bye.
Bye.